Black girl sells lemonade to pay for chemo. Suddenly, Keanu Reeves passes by and left everyone speechless in the neighborhood of Rosewood. 9-year-old Talia Johnson was setting up a lemonade stand by the oak tree at the roadside. The summer sun was beating down on her small setup, a foldable chair where she had written "Lemonade 50 cents," along with a picture of lemonade she'd made that morning. Talia's lemonade stand was no ordinary lemonade stand that you see elsewhere. It wasn't about money for toys or treats. Talia was selling lemonade for her mother's chemotherapy. It was quite a cause. Talia's mother, Lisa, had cancer, thus they were getting the bills, and it was becoming difficult to manage things. Even though Talia was just a kid, she wanted to help out in any way that she could. The selling lemonade idea struck her after listening to her mother's concerned phone calls to relatives, explaining the high costs of her treatment. Talia realized that a lemonade stand would not produce much income. However, she thought that perhaps she could raise enough money for groceries or as a small contribution to her mom's bills. With each passing hour, Talia served lemonade to the few passers-by who stopped, most of them neighbors who knew her and her family. They offered her encouraging words and sometimes a little extra money, touched by her story and her determination. As the afternoon wore on, the crowd thinned, and Talia started feeling the fatigue of the day. Her earnings so far were a collection of coins and a few dollar bills, nowhere near enough to make a dent in her mother's hospital bills. Just as Talia was about to start packing up, she heard a low rumble of a motorcycle engine. She looked up expecting to see one of the neighborhood bikers who sometimes drove through town, but instead, it was something even more surprising. A sleek black car slowly pulled up to her stand. As the door opened, out stepped a familiar figure, Keanu Reeves. Talia didn't recognize him immediately, but the small group of people who had gathered nearby started whispering excitedly. Keanu Reeves, the famous actor known for his roles in The Matrix and John Wick, was standing right in front of her lemonade stand. Talia's eyes widened, not because of his fame, but because he seemed so down to earth and approaching just like anyone else who might have stopped by. Keanu approached her with a warm smile, crouching down to her level. "Hi there," he said kindly. "Are you selling lemonade?" Talia nodded a bit shyly. "Yes, sir. It's 50 cents a cup." Keanu chuckled, pulling out his wallet. He handed her a crisp $100 bill, and Talia's eyes went wide with surprise. "How about I buy a whole pitcher?" he said, holding out the money with a smile. Talia took the bill carefully, almost in disbelief. "Thank you, sir," she said softly, unsure of what else to say. As he took his lemonade, Keanu noticed a handwritten note next to her table that explained why she was selling lemonade. The note read, "My mom is sick, and I want to help her get better. All money goes to her treatments." Keanu's face softened with compassion. He looked around at the small crowd that had now gathered, and then turned back to Talia. "You're doing an amazing thing, Talia. Not everyone your age would think to help their mom like this." With that, Keanu turned to the crowd and raised his voice slightly. "Everyone, let's support Talia here. She's helping her mom, and every bit counts. Who's with me?" The crowd murmured with excitement and admiration. One by one, people started approaching Talia's stand, each buying a cup of lemonade and offering her donations far beyond the 50-cent price range. Some handed her 10s, 20s, and even more. Within minutes, Talia's little cup was overflowing with cash, and she couldn't believe what was happening. Keanu stayed by her side, helping pour lemonade, chatting with the people who stopped by, and making sure Talia knew she wasn't alone in her mission. As word spread through the neighborhood, more people began arriving, creating a small crowd around her stand. As Talia's earnings continued to grow, Keanu made a phone call, speaking in hushed tones. When he hung up, he turned back to Talia with a gentle smile. "Talia, I want you to know that you're not alone in this. I've arranged for someone to help cover your mom's treatment costs." Talia stared at him, barely able to comprehend what he was saying. "You? You mean my mom can get better?" Keanu nodded. "Yes, your mom is going to get the care she needs. You've done something incredible here today, Talia, and I'm honored to be part of it." Overwhelmed with emotion, Talia ran around the table and hugged Keanu tightly. She couldn't find the words to express her gratitude, but Keanu didn't need words to understand how much his gesture meant to her. The people in the crowd cheered, some with tears in their eyes, moved by the kindness and generosity they'd witnessed. After a while, Keanu stayed to chat with Talia and her neighbors, ensuring they felt his support. He listened to Talia's stories about her mother, how strong and kind she was, and how much she loved her. Keanu reassured Talia that her mom was lucky to have such a brave and determined daughter by her side. In the days that followed, Talia's story spread quickly, reaching news outlets and social media platforms. People were inspired by her bravery and Keanu's unexpected generosity. Strangers from all over the country started sending letters and donations, showing their support for Talia and her family. Talia became a symbol of hope in her community, a reminder that love and determination could make a real difference, no matter one's age. With the support of her community, Keanu, and people around the world, Talia and her mother finally had the resources they needed to fight her mother's illness. Keanu kept in touch with Talia and her family, making sure they had everything they needed throughout her mother's treatment. One day, he surprised Talia with an invitation to visit a movie set, where she got to see how movies were made and meet some of Keanu's co-stars. She was thrilled, not just because of the experience, but because Keanu had treated her like family, encouraging her dreams and inspiring her to believe in the power of kindness. As her mother's health improved, Talia continued her lemonade stand, not because she needed the money anymore, but because she wanted to help others. She donated all her proceeds to families who were facing medical challenges, paying forward the kindness that had been shown to her. One sunny afternoon, Keanu visited her again, this time with a team of volunteers. They created a special solar-powered lemonade stand for Talia, complete with a cooler to keep the lemonade cold, a canopy for shade, and a sign that read, "Lemonade for Hope." The stand became a permanent fixture in the community, a place where people gathered to support each other, share stories, and be reminded of the good in the world. Keanu made Talia the ambassador for a new initiative aimed at helping children face similar challenges. Together, they traveled to events, sharing her story and encouraging others to make a difference. Talia found herself speaking at community gatherings, her confidence growing as she realized how powerful her voice could be. Talia's lemonade stand had transformed into something far beyond what she could ever have imagined. It became a symbol of resilience, love, and unity in her community. Keanu's involvement wasn't just a moment of kindness. It was the beginning of a lifelong friendship and partnership. As the years passed, Talia continued her advocacy work, always remembering that it all began with a lemonade stand on a quiet street and a kind stranger who stopped to help. She went on to establish her own nonprofit organization, Talia's Hope, dedicated to providing financial support and emotional care for families facing medical hardships. Every summer, she set up her lemonade stand, bringing together friends, neighbors, and strangers. The community would come together not just to buy lemonade, but to celebrate the strength and compassion that had carried them through difficult times. In her speeches, Talia would say, "It doesn't matter how big or small your actions are. If you do them with love, they can change lives." I was just a little girl with a lemonade stand, but with a little hope and a lot of help, we created something bigger than I could have ever imagined. Keanu's simple act of kindness had sparked a movement that continued to inspire others for years. And as Talia grew, she carried forward the lesson he had taught her, that even the smallest acts of kindness could leave a lasting impact on the world. This story teaches us the incredible power of kindness, resilience, and community. Talia's determination to support her mother in the face of hardship shows us that even small acts of love can make a big difference. Her lemonade stand started as a simple idea, but her courage and dedication turned it into something extraordinary, touching the hearts of everyone who heard her story. Keanu Reeves' unexpected kindness reminds us that we all have the ability to lift someone up when they're struggling. Sometimes it only takes one person's generosity to inspire an entire community to come together. His support didn't just help Talia's family financially, it gave them hope and showed them that they weren't alone in their journey. This story encourages us to look beyond appearances and be willing to lend a hand, no matter how small the gesture might seem. In a world that sometimes feels divided, acts of compassion can bring us closer and remind us of our shared humanity. What do you think? Have you ever witnessed a small act of kindness that made a big difference? Share your story in the comments below.